Hey toy fans, you all know me. I'm Tony from Analog Toys, and welcome to episode 9 of Palitalk, a retro toy podcast. And today I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Scuba Pete. How you doing, Pete? Do I call you Scuba or do I call you Pete?
Either works. That's pretty much how I get called in public too. I mean, we can be shopping at the hardware store and they're like, Scuba!
So, for the audience members who don't know, you've got a very good reason why your kind of YouTube handle is Scuba Pete. Do you want to tell everyone what you do for a living?
Sure. I take care of my local Bass Pro Shop and Cabela aquariums. That is my real job. I'm Deuce Bigelow. And I've been doing that since 2005. Before that, I worked at a public aquarium for 4 years. So, you know, when I'm jumping in with the catfish and whatnot here at Bass Pro, people are like, "Oh, are you scared to get in?" I'm like, "No, my old job, I swam with sharks." And they kind of,
Yeah, you'd probably cope with it all right here in Australia. It's the crocodiles bother me more than the sharks.
Yeah, I would be way weary of the crocs versus the sharks.
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, there are crocodiles where I am, but they're a lot more prevalent, like up in the Northern Territory. A lot more of them up there. But yeah, I won't go swimming around here. No, it's not. I've pulled big fish in big sharks in off the beach. I'm like, yeah. I'm not swimming up here.
I will say a quick story. My first day at the aquarium, I'm working second shift, so the aquarium's now closed for the night. One of the biologists came and got me, and I'm literally in the control room just trying to get used to where I am. And she's like, "I need your help. Come with me now." And I'm like, "Hi, I'm new today." And she's like, "Come on." She needed me to help her wrestle about a 7-foot alligator that had busted its nose. And so she said, "I'll get in and, get him out onto the beach, but I need you to sit on the back half." And I'm like, "As long as I have the back half, I'm good."
Yeah. We got Retro Blast in the house, and they say it's glad to see and hear Scuba finally. And I was chatting to Michael after the last one, and he said it was great to put a face to the name of Michael Schaefer. So I know he's been looking forward to this. And who else have we got in the chat here? We got Chris Miwa,
Chris,
and George Aitken.
Hey, George.
We got Laser Pants from the Infinity Equation podcast, my new favorite podcast.
That was a great podcast.
It is. How long have you been watching it for?
No, literally, I watched my first one on Friday.
Yeah. Well, I did that interview with Bobby Valor. That wasn't exactly a Palitalk. It was probably should have called it a Palitalk, but it was just a live stream like this. Did that with Bobby Valor, and at the end, I was like, we want to tell everyone where they can find you. I'm thinking he's going to plug the Valorverse.com website. Right. He's like, "No, I'm on this rinky-dink podcast on a Friday night." And now all the guys constantly rib into him for calling it the rinky-dink podcast. But I literally, after he told me that, I sat down and I watched the Infinity Equation that was 4 weeks ago.
Right.
And yeah, I love it. I watch it every week now. So my live streams at 6 p.m. and they go on about 8. So normally I go for like hour and a half. Then I can have a break and jump onto them. So it's a great podcast. I'm really enjoying it. And
it's great. I owe Michael finding you because that was brought up on a live stream on some of my favorite channels when I get the chance. There's a fellow Tony Analog, and I'm like, okay. And I think Buck Rogers was probably the first video that I watched of yours, but I was like, this is great. And of course I've seen him on Clobberin' times or heard him on Clobberin'. Now I watch Clobberin' every Saturday night with the Star Trek talk. Yep. So, yeah, it's just good stuff. Yeah.
Do you watch TV anymore?
No. Who's got time?
No, most of these things during the week when I've been at the day job, like I get, I work longer days than Gracie. So I get home. She's been home for a couple of hours, and kind of once dinner's ready, she'll sit in the living room in front of the TV, and I sit out on the balcony and I'm just on YouTube, and I'm watching stuff like Infinity Equation, Retro Blasting, Toy Polloi. I watch
Yep.
a lot of UFC stuff on there as well. So
Nice.
So I thought we'd get started by telling the audience kind of what different toy lines it is you collect.
So, of course, Star Wars, big one, because I was born in '72, so I got to see it in the theater as a 5-year-old, and that blew me away. We were in Columbus, Ohio, and it was basically a sold-out show. We got tickets for the very front row, and so I spent the entire movie, like this, and Darth Vader scaring the pants off of me, but enjoyed every minute of it. So, Star Wars, heavily G.I. Joe, Motu. That's probably my big three. And then Lego. Yeah. You can throw Lego in there, too, because I was Space Legos. And
just Space Lego? Or
well, Space Lego is what I had as a kid. And then when we had our daughter, we kind of started building little projects together. But that's when they launched, like, the Aqua Raiders line, the little underwater divers, of course. Imagine that. And now I can't blame it on her anymore because she's in college and I'm like, these are my Legos, when people come over.
Yeah, so that's three quite classic toy lines there: Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe. You're not into Transformers at all?
No, that was my brother. He was gaga for G1. We'd watch cartoons together and I would catch some of the Transformers, but yeah, that was more his bag. Even though I would try to, futz with him, and he was like, "Don't touch that. That's Megatron. You'll break him."
Yeah, I had Megatron when I was a kid, and I had the Dinobot, whatever the Triceratops was. Slag, was it?
I think it is Slag.
Yeah, which that's not a very polite term of endearment in the UK. But I never got into Transformers very much. I was much more military focused. So I'm actually, we were talking before the show started. I'm currently working on a video to complete the Action Force 1987 collection, Action Force International Heroes. Oh, yeah. And actually talking that a lot about, there was a weekly comic in the UK at the same time. The only comic run that I've, ever religiously collected and read every single issue. And that's my favorite comic cover of all time.
Isn't that awesome? I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. And for those people who don't know, the comics were a mixture of original G.I. Joe stories and brand new stories written and drawn by Marvel UK. Particularly that one you've got on the cover there, where they're in the London Underground, Snake Eyes and Scarlet chasing the Cobra Eel. So, yeah, but halfway through that run, I think around issue 24, they did an Action Force Transformers crossover miniseries. And as much as I love that comic, I really didn't like that crossover event. And as I was writing the script and I'm starting to work on this video, I'm looking back in hindsight going, maybe that's why I hate Transformers. Because they muscled their way into my favorite comic and created the worst issues of the whole run.
No to the robots.
There's one comic cover I was looking at yesterday. I was actually taking a shot of it for the video. I think it's around issue 26, but it's Megatron's hand and he's crushing the Mauler, the main battle tank. Yeah. It was like, dude, get out of my universe.
Yeah.
Go back to Cybertron.
Give me that.
So you said G.I. Joe is one of your really big things. And we're very lucky today, audience. We're very lucky that Pete actually was kind enough to share a few photos of his collection. And I just want to pull this one up very quickly. You are the owner of like a triple decker flag. Do you want to talk us through what's on the screen here?
Yep. So I got this flag from my now buddy Matt, just down south of me. We met via Facebook, and I was on vacation. I saw this flag get posted, and so I messaged and said, is it available? And he said, it is. but are you actually interested? Because that's all I ever get from people is it available? And then he goes, I never hear anything. And I said, oh, I'm very interested. And so immediately he said, here's my rock bottom price. And it was basically mint condition in the box. And I said, I'll take it. And we've been fast friends ever since. But after watching like G.I. Joeberg and Michael Mercy and this ultimate flag, I'm like, ooh, I want to create something like that. And so I just started, I think I used Joeberg's kind of basic measurements and went, I want it more than one level. I want multi-level. I want hanger bays, and I need stuff. Like, I don't want it just out of wood. I need like original Joe stuff. So then that began a whole year-long process of hunting loose flag parts and, railings off other G.I. Joe stuff, basically anything and everything. The mind's just kind of spinning and all the while looking at, real world aircraft interiors or aircraft carrier interiors to kind of get inspiration for all that. And then, just it was about a year and a half ago, I spent the summer and the neighbors were like, what on earth are you built? Because I had it, we had great weather and I had it out on sawhorses and I'm drilling. I got my 80s tunes jamming, and the neighbor's like, what are you doing? I'm like, building an aircraft carrier, mind your business. And then I got to the paint application and he kind of came over like, the hell you say? What are you doing? And I'm like, come on, you got to. And he was like, oh, I remember that. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah. but we don't remember it quite like that with the extra levels. So you've done a good job there.
Thank you.
And everyone in the chat's loving it as well. So Timothy Ward saying very impressive. We've got another Tim in the chat here. Tim Ennell says lovely bit of kit.
Yeah, I had to.
And our buddy Michael Schaefer, that flag is huge. It's the size of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I ended up putting a diver.
You picked that up about a year and a half ago, or you started working on it a year and a half ago?
I started working on it about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How long have you actually had it for?
About 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it's a holy grail piece for my collection, the flag. But they, I believe they were sold in Australia because they have turned up here from time to time, but not very often. Certainly not as often as they do in the States. But for me to buy it from the States and ship it to Australia, I'd be paying $1,000 just in shipping.
Right.
So I think the last one I saw on eBay, it was $800 shipping.
Ooh. Well,
yeah.
One day we will come for a visit, and that will be my luggage. I won't even pack any clothes. I'll just. I need to check this.
And in exchange for how many bottles of bourbon?
Yeah, a couple. We'll call it even. Uh-oh. Is Tony frozen and I'm live? Look out. Uh-oh. And we're back.
And we're back. I don't know what happened there. Well, I kind of do. There was an internet issue on my end, so.
You're live with Pete and Tony. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, sorry about that. I when I run the live streams from the studio downstairs, I can hardwire the cable. It's I'm up on the 3rd floor and I can't up here, so.
You're up in the sanctuary.
And we're going again.
Uh-oh. Everybody wants me to do a dance routine. In the meantime, I'll wow you with one of my first toys. That's right, Fisher Price. I'm just keeping everybody busy. We're back.
Are you still on? Is it just me that's turning off?
Yeah.
Oh, God, thanks for keeping the show going.
I got you 4 more Patreon subs, so you're welcome. No, he's frozen again. Oh, no. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. I feel like I should start humming The Girl from Ipanema or something, elevator music. George says it's the Scuba show now. That's right. I've hijacked it. So not only do I have the sub, this one I just got to replace my missing original, but I do have my original octopi. Still rubbery after all these years. So many tub times with that dude playing rescue missions. It says to Bill, Scuba is the captain now. All right. Well, let's take you on a little tour since I'm master and commander. All right. So we go all the way up top. There we go. Little Night Raven. Shuttle. Lots of snow vipers. That's my tactical battle platform from when I was a kid. I took that sucker on every vacation that we went on. It was much to the displeasure of my dad, I think, having to pack that away, but we always had it. This is for George Aiken. Here's my action force. It's growing. Of course, HQ. Way over there, we've got Childhood Terrordrome and my vintage Star Wars collection up the wall and over there. So Tony's not saying it, but stretch. Is that a neon G.I. Joe sign? No, my daughter painted me that G.I. Joe sign. How cool is that? I got that for my birthday last year.
We're back.
There, you're back.
I'm back. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I had an internet disaster here.
That's all right. We did a impromptu collection tour of what I could show. You know where I am.
Do you want a job with analog toys? I only
Sure.
pay in Bourbon.
Wow, I'll take it.
I think I have fixed it properly this time, so apologies everyone for the cock up. Oh, very nice.
There we go. I'll move over. There. Different view.
Yeah. And the tactical battle platform, Checkpoint Alpha.
That's the platform. That's my childhood platform that I got for Christmas that year. And it went on every family vacation. Like guaranteed.
And I'm going to talk about this, or I already have talked about it in I can't speak now. That internet issue's thrown me off. I've already talked about that in my Action Force International Heroes video, although you just haven't seen it yet because I haven't got the edit finished. That's what I really wanted for Christmas in '87. And I had a younger cousin, Shane, and on my dad's side of the family, he was a couple of years younger, but because the family used to hang out a lot together and we would always play together, the parents would talk to each other and say, well, don't get them the same toys. So he got the tactical battle platform and I got the Cobra Hydrofoil, which is not a bad second choice.
That's not a bad second choice. Yeah, I just got that Hydrofoil maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah, okay.
Had it, always wanted it. We went to the lake a lot every summer up in Minnesota to my grandparents. And so we would take, we'd be there for the week just in the middle of nowhere and no TV, no phone, no anything. So it was, all right, bring what you want, to play with for the week. And we were like, can we take this? And Dad's like, Stick it in the back.
Just imagine if the flag could actually float and you had one of them. My buddy Brendan here, he's saying, Scuba, you seem like a natural at ad-libbing. Thanks for keeping this show going in my absence, Pete.
Sure, no problem.
Honestly, I didn't just duck out for a cheeky cigarette or anything.
Well, I mean, everybody in the chat is friends, so, no big deal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, man, I don't know where we were up to now. So, we were talking about your G.I. Joe flag, and I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Because I've got a few more images here that I'd like to share. So, this is some close-up examples of what do you call it? The underbelly of the flag. I don't know if that's the right terminology.
Yep.
So, what do we got here? This is the Conquest and the Shark.
Mm-hmm.
A few of the vintage figures.
Yep. That's a little CIC action there in the blue with all kinds of screens. I took the cockpit out of a Defiant that I got loose and made that kind of like the main control hub. And then that's in a G.I. Joe Adventure Team map up on the wall there.
Yep.
And then a little motor.
And that's obviously... So where they're doing the maintenance on the vehicle, that's out of the G.I. Joe headquarters.
Yeah, a little motor pool. So yeah, got that extra one, and then another Raw Striker, and then there's some bunks back in there that I got from Marauders. Yep.
And I like this. Is that Firefly you've got there climbing up the anchor chain?
Yes, it is.
He's coming to sabotage the flag.
Yep. And you got the elevator, the gantry elevator out of the Defiant.
Oh, very cool. So this isn't all wood. You've really customized it from.
You kind of the skeleton of it is marine grade plywood, and then everything else is decked out. As much kit that I could lay my hands on.
Yeah, that's Spearhead, isn't it? On that.
Yep.
Yep. And here we've got another. There you go. There's Firefly on the anchor chain, dude. And you've done all the lighting yourself and everything. That's awesome.
Yeah, just LED puck lighting. Yep.
Yeah, I've heard someone say that that Lego lighting is really good for this kind of thing.
Yeah, it is, since it's so tiny.
Yeah,
it'll work great.
Yeah, and how do you power Lego lighting? Is that USB or is it battery or?
I think it's got a bat pack with it as well, so you're kind of limited only by the length of the cord. So I didn't want any cords, so I just went AAA powered. So when I'm down here, I'll turn all the lights on. Can you show the dive lockout picture? I think I sent that to you on the app.
I didn't upload enough of them, Pete. Sorry. Oh. This is what I've got.
Yep, I couldn't not have some kind of scuba diving area, so I made a lockout chamber on the back end of it.
Very nice. So, do you mind me asking how old you are, roughly?
Let's see. I just turned 48.
Okay.
I've lost track.
Seeing Star Wars in the cinema, you're going to be kind of around that age. So what age did you get out of toys? Or have you ever gotten out of toys?
It was more like a really long pause. Because even when we would go see friends, that had younger kids, you could find me in the toy room playing with the kids. Like, hey, we're gonna have dinner. Yeah, we'll be in a minute. Whatever they've got. I'm very thankful my parents really saved everything that we had as kids. The only thing that went by the wayside was Masters of the Universe that was sold at a church yard sale long ago, but I've more than made up for that.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, you are lucky. Not a lot of people do get to keep a lot of their childhood collection. I've got like 4 or 5 Action Man figures, but for me, it was emigrating from the United Kingdom to Australia in 1988. We just couldn't bring everything. My parents wanted me to get rid of all of it. Well, my mum did, because I was 11 at the time, and she's like, really, you're not going to be into toys for much longer. But I was like, no, please at least let me get my Action Man. And because my dad's a toy collector, it was like, oh, no, if he's that serious about it, let him keep it. And now look, look what happened. So do you have a favorite character from G.I. Joe?
Let's see. I mean, I always loved Torpedo. Heavy water, here I come.
Yep. So did you always want to be a scuba diver when you were growing up?
I think so. I was showing everybody, during the break, one of my tub toys. Yeah, when I look back, I was just drawn to it. I mean, Deep Six and the shark, I had to have it. That was one of my first vehicles. It's kind of weird, but my favorite, I think, is Flint. I love Flint.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite action figures for sure, Flint. I remember pining after him in 1988. I think probably the 2 figures I wanted the most. Well, I wanted the whole line, but that's why I'm making a video about it.
Let's be honest.
but the 2 figures I wanted the most were Flint and Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Which is Snake Eyes version 2, that is, because version 1 for us came out in the Palitalk Action Force range, and obviously he was renamed as Stalker, and he became the driver of the Panther Jeep. Yeah, so we never really got any kind of Snake Eyes version 1 in the UK.
Snake Eyes version 1 was my brother's figure. I mean, that was a great thing, having a younger brother that was only a few years difference in age. So, for Christmases and birthdays, we were getting very similar toys. So it just added to this monster collection. Like the Terrordrome, that's Craig's Terrordrome. That we added to it. But I had all like the Dragonfly and the Wolverine and the Shark and the Tactical Battle. I mean, so together we had just this massive collection. And he's taken the Mauler. Craig, if you're watching, don't ever get rid of that Mauler. That's the one thing. Like, you got all of his Transformers, because Mom and Dad were like, hey, you guys are old enough and you both have your own homes. You need to come get this stuff, right? So we're like, well, we'll be right over. And that was the one G.I. Joe thing that Craig wanted, was the Mauler. And I remember when he got that on his birthday, and we took it out to the driveway and, ran over all kinds of obstacles that we could create. But I was like, I get everything else, G.I. Joe. You can have the Mauler. That's okay.
Yeah. Now, I saw a what was the driver's name of the Mauler? Heavy Metal?
Yes, Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal. I saw one of those figures going for sale the other day. I saw it on Facebook or something. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. It was going, so it had the small microphone. It sold for $700.
Yeah.
Just the figure, not with the Mauler.
Right. Yeah, just the figure loose, and he had the mic.
Yeah.
Which is insane because, again.
My repro.
Right? $1 or $2, and that person, chances are, they probably make some other part that you probably desperately need as well. So you can make that shipping, a little more economical. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was trying to complete this Action Force collection, Dusty's one of the figures in the line, and obviously they've all lost their bipods over the years. I lost mine. It was the first accessory I think I lost when I was a kid. that I saw one of them, an original vintage one, and that was $50, and I wouldn't pay $50 for that. There's actually a guy I think it was in Italy, I found. He's selling 3D printed bipods for, it's like $3 for the bipod and $25 shipping to Australia.
Oh, jeez.
You can't be $25 ship. Put it in an envelope with some stamps and send it to me for $3. Then I'd buy it.
Well, I'm the total oddball because I have the bipod. I don't have the gun.
Ah.
I don't. I mean, everybody else has their weapons, and I'm like, Dusty, where's your gun? But I'm like, here's the bipod. I have it in a Ziploc bag, because it's so little and fragile.
Yeah, I've got bipods from other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember sending Michael at Retroblasting a box years ago, and he didn't need it at the time. But then, like a year or so later, I don't remember what figure it was. Maybe it was Big Ben. I don't remember, but he acquired a figure with all the accessories minus the bipod, and it happened to be a small accessory that I put in a box of stuff to him. So it's serendipitous sometimes how this kind of thing happens.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I want to keep talking about G.I. Joe because I've got it on the brain at the moment because I'm making this Action Force video. But when you're a pretty well-known guy within our community, from the chat and everything. How long have you been following channels like mine and Retroblasting?
I would say 3 years, but a year of that was probably ghosty. I wasn't making comments. I was just watching Retroblasting. Sorry, I didn't make any comments or. But I was, restoring a lot of my childhood stuff. So it was Toy Polloi, Retroblasting, Michael Mercy, G.I. Joe stuff. I mean, it was just boom, boom, boom. But I wasn't really an active participant in this awesome community that I now count as good brothers and sisters. I mean, it's crazy who I know across the globe, all these different time zones.
I've become an expert at figuring out, exactly what time it is on the East Coast of the States and England.
Yeah, it's like Chris Mewa in the Netherlands. Okay, that's 5 hours. Okay, Tony, right now that's 8 hours in Australia. But when we spring forward, then we'll be on the same time, Yep. Yeah. We've got a super chat here from Gojatron. Thank you very much for the super chat. It says, "Hey, Tony and Pete. Pete, do you currently have any grails on your toy want list?" Always. And at the top of my list is the Defiant. Definitely the Defiant. I've got the Crusader shuttle, but I would love to have a Defiant. Of course, Leslie's like, "Where are you going to put that?" And I was like, "Never you mind. We'll find a spot."
Yeah.
But I would love to find one of those.
Yeah, for myself, it's a toy that you mentioned earlier, or we mentioned earlier, the Cobra Hydrofoil, because it was. So funnily, now that I'm an adult collector, I was more interested in going out and getting the tactical battle platform because that's the one I wanted as a kid and didn't have. But now that I've had the battle platform for quite a while. It's a G.I. Joe one, but the only difference between that and Action Force is the stickers. They're exactly the same toy. Now I've acquired that. I kind of need to go out and get a hydrofoil. I would love a Mauler because that was another toy I really wanted as a kid, and that came out in the same line in '87. So did the Dragonfly, funnily enough, which I've only ever owned in the past, the Tiger Force version of the Dragonfly, which I ended up selling on because I decided I didn't want any Tiger Force stuff in there. Not that I'm a hater of Tiger Force.
Yeah.
Not something I'm going to collect, and having one Tiger Force vehicle in a Joe collection without any others, it looks odd. So I passed it on to another collector. Do you have any Tiger Force stuff?
I don't. We have a neighbor catty corner to us. He has the Tiger Force Rattler.
Yep.
And he's like, when they've got some grandkids, and they were like, when they're grown, it's yours. It's just one day I'm going to walk over and be like, "Pete, here you go." And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So how long have you been collecting for? Seriously collecting?
I would say seriously collecting again, probably 3 years. It was just before, it'd be 3 because it was about a year before the flag. I started. I ran into a Castle Grayskull for a great price, and that kind of oddly ignited the passion, the flames again. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And pretty soon, I was up till 3 a.m, looking at Motu figures and weapons, and what do I need? What do I don't? Oh, I remember having it. Oh, I'm buying him. We're on Yojo Outlet, and looking for pieces and parts, and then I'm like, why don't I have because I still had my GI Joe in boxes. I didn't have it on display, and I'm like, why don't I have this on display? I'm like, this is too cool not to. And now it's gotten a lot fancier over the last couple of years.
So I've pretty much been a toy collector my whole life. Because even when I got to like 13, like 12 turning 13 is when I kind of stopped playing with toys.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell that interest stayed there during my early teenage years, because I then got into a bit of Warhammer Fantasy stuff. I was really into the Hero Quest board game. So still that kind of thing. In fact, and I even remember being 15, I think, when the G.I. Joe Hall of Fame series came out in Australia. Mm-hmm. The 12-inch G.I. Joe figures, which, although the figures were a bit dumb looking, you couldn't articulate them very well. Because of my interest in Action Man, it was like, well, I can buy these, turf the figure, and I've got a new outfit for Action Man. So I'd actually kind of forgotten about that until recently. I was thinking about it. I was like, I've often said that I stopped playing with toys 12, 13, and then started collecting at 16. And those years in between, I was doing other stuff. But actually, really, no, I was buying G.I. Joe Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. I was doing a lot of Tamiya model kits, World War II tanks. And things like that. Yeah. I can't remember what the scale was. The figures were kind of toy soldier size. That was whatever that scale that was, 1 to 32 something.
I think that's right, 1 to 32.
Yeah. So I did a lot of Tamiya modeling during those years as well. So, I've always been fascinated by, I don't know, I've just always been into toys and the pop culture design aesthetic of things. It's always appealed to me. So for me, it's always been there. But for someone like yourself who got into it, a lot of other collectors who didn't collect for a long time and then got into it, they normally say there was one specific event that got them back in. And you're saying, you came across it. Was at Castle Grayskull.
It was a Castle Grayskull. And, being able to open that up, and it had the elevator in it, and the chair trapdoor worked. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it.
And do you mind me asking what you paid for that 3 years ago? Because that's about when I got mine, I think. No, maybe 4 years ago. But
I picked it up for $70.
Wow. Complete, or?
It did not have the computer cardboard console, but it had the cardboard robot. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And it had all the weapons on the weapons rack and everything?
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's all right. I bought a boxed one, and I think I paid 200 Australian, which would be about 150 US.
Okay.
Very nice box, though. Again, the cardboard bits were missing. So, hey, guess what, everyone? I got repros. Or I scanned them and printed and made my own, I think.
Right.
But yeah, when that toy was so mass produced, there's so many of them out there. Nearly every boy in the 80s had a Castle Grayskull. They made millions of them.
Oh, yeah. It is quite interesting to see the different paint applications to it. Whether the guys on the line were like, blah, blah, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh,
Yeah, Bjorn says, how dare you, Tony? I don't know what he's referring to. Did I just slate Castle Grayskull? I don't know. When I say I don't think it should be worth a lot, I'm just talking about the way it was mass produced.
It is funny, like any pop culture shop, around here, if you dig around, they've at least got the shell of Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get like $100 out of it.
Not for a shell.
No.
Did you have Snake Mountain when you were a kid?
I did not. I always wanted it, and I came across it. The girls got that for me last Christmas. Sorry.
Christmas gift from the family. Very nice. And
with the box, microphone cover. I mean, everything's there. The shackles intact. Yeah, they did well.
Oh, there we go. That's what Bjorn was talking about. It was a joke about the repro cardboard. Okay, now I get what you mean. I certainly didn't think I was like, did I just insult Castle Grayskull? I don't think so. Did you have any toys when you were a kid? Did you have the stunt cycle?
I had the Evel Knievel stunt cycle. Yep, I sure did.
Yeah. Did you know that it can jump Snake Mountain?
I saw that. Incredible.
Shameless plug for my own video.
I mean, the end where it skids out just perfectly.
It wasn't just the fact that I'm apologies if you've heard this before, because I don't know. I don't remember if I've talked about this on a live stream or in a private chat with Michael French or whatever, but I did the live stream it was Saturday morning for me, and Chris Meewer mentioned just a comment in the live stream. I woke up the next morning and Grace was doing some overtime. She doesn't often work on a Sunday. So I've got the house to myself. I'm going to see if he can do this.
What's a lad to do?
I set everything up and I got the lights and the camera up in. I set up 2 different cameras and I started doing different attempts at getting him to jump Snake Mountain. And after 3.5 hours, and look, I literally pulled my hair out. There's none left. It's like, he's not going to do that. He is not going to jump Snake Mountain. And because Gracie was going to be home in about 30 minutes. Not that she really cares what I do up here, but, when she gets her, there's no door on this roof. It goes straight into the stairway downstairs to the kitchen. Like when she gets home, she's going to start banging around in the kitchen. It's going to mess up the audio, so I'll have to stop filming. So I'm ready to give up, and I did one last go. And the only thing I did different, I gave him an extra 2 or 3 inches of run up. I just pulled him back a little bit further. I think I actually comment on that in the video. I was like, more time to accelerate, I think is what I said. Because I just pulled him back just slightly. I gave him the maximum amount of run up. Yep. And then not only did he clear Snake Mountain, it was the way he landed and then just side skidded straight into the strategically placed below. And again, I don't know if I've told this story or not. I reached out to Michael and said, "Hey, can you voice Skeletor? And this is the video I'm making."
It was freaking hilarious.
Well, the strange thing was, I didn't show Michael the video. I didn't tell him whether. Actually, I think I asked him to do the voices before I sat down to film the video, so I didn't know if he could actually jump Snake Mountain or not. I didn't know if I was going to achieve it, so I just said to Michael, "Give me a few sound clips of failing to jump the mountain and jumping the mountain." So he had not seen the video, and it all just fitted in. And obviously, he does the Rambo voice.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, dude, what a coincidence that when Evil steers off, crashes into the stadium, Rambo is the only figure that fell backwards.
Yeah, he totally tanks off.
So he sent me those clips, and I think I got them on like a Monday morning, and I was working that day. And I'm at work all day, and I was like, I've got to go home and film this cutaway shot of Rambo on the floor. Nothing is over. We've got a couple of super chats here. So Jason Keane, thank you very much. I think he sent that before his hit send before typing a question, but he's got the question here. So, as an American, good question. What does Pete think of Palitoy's Action Force figures with the 5 points of articulation?
Jason, I love them. I blame Tony for my newer addiction. I think they're fantastic. I mean, when I learned about Baron Ironblood and Mouton, Red Shadows, of course, there's I showed him in my my little quick tour while we went quasi off the air. I mean, it's just great stuff.
Great stuff. It is. Yeah. And I know I've had so many people have reached out to me on social media saying, because of the videos, you've got me into Action Force collecting.
Yeah.
I really hope it hasn't driven up the prices for other people.
I think it has. I think it's all your fault.
I personally have noticed it's not like when The Force Awakens came out and Star Wars just went ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't think that my rinky-dink YouTube channel is responsible for driving up the price of a specific toy line. But I have noticed a difference in the last 12 to 18 months. So
George Aiken's been sending me pictures from his magic attic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
George was collecting Action Force when no one else was collecting.
Right.
He told me this story of getting, like, I don't know if it was like the basic Cobra Trooper or maybe I think it was the Cobra Officer. That in like 1986 or 1988, something like that, he went into a shop and they had like 50 of them or something on sale for 50p each, and he bought the whole lot. He bought like 50 or 80 of them. Crazy. We have another super chat from A World Made of Cardboard. It says, Jumping Snake Mountain is the greatest video ever. It's probably one of the most fun videos I've ever made. As frustrating as it was, like when you hear me do that yes scream when he finally jumps it.
Right.
When I was editing that, I had to turn the volume down so much, like in post editing,
because you were blowing out the mic
so loudly it would have blown people's eardrums. It just a happy accident of a video. And a lot of people are like, you need to make more. And I was like, well, what do I know? I'm not just going to keep doing Evel Knievel. And I don't have a lot of other toys that have a kind of, I could use the Z-Force battle tank. Yeah. And I would have to speed up the footage because that thing moves so slowly. What's that going to do?
It's coming right for us. Run.
Maybe I'll pick a somewhat fragile toy and see if it can drive over it and the toy can survive or not.
Yeah, there you
go. So with your Action Force collection, are you collecting specific teams or hodgepodge of everything? Or
right now, up until now, it's been it's kind of hodgepodgey. Boone's art, I think you've got.
Yeah, I use that seller quite a lot. Yeah,
in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, and it's in Chris Miwa's backyard, and we chat, and I cry a little bit because he doesn't have to pay any shipping to get it delivered to his doorstep. So I suck it up, and I'm like, that's beautiful, man. I wanted that, but
I bought a lot of things from that eBay seller, and all I just because they always combine shipping. Yeah. So you're better off. I will buy like 3 or 4 vehicles and a few figures at a time and get a big lot shipped over. So
yeah, he's great about combining because I was like, hey, will you? And he was like, no problem. Yes, don't pay any attention to. I want that $15 figure with $32 shipping. It's like now.
Yeah. So George Aiken's in the chat here, and he said he got 200 Cobra officers at 39p each.
Officers. Wow. Oh my gosh.
And Timothy Ward, I like this theory. He says, George has been sending stuff to me and Michael. You guys make the videos. If the price is going up, it's all on George. So I remember the first time I ever, I'll be perfectly honest, and this is no offense to you, George, because I do get a lot of people contacting me through social media. It happens when your channel starts to grow, emails, Facebook, all that kind of thing. And, and here's this guy approaches me, can I have your postal address? I want to send you some stuff. And that very first box that I opened had a whole heap of Z-Force figures in there. There was some SAS figures, and I was like, and quite a bit of Red Shadow stuff. And of course, I already had the Robo Skull. And I had wanted to collect Action Force for so long. And what put me off is it's quite a big toy line.
Oh, it's huge.
But after that very generous box from George, I was like, no, I'm gonna go full force. No, pun very much intended. I'm gonna go full force into collecting Palitoy's Action Force. And I very quickly figured out that the first team that I could was close to completing was the enemy team. I was like, right, that's the video I'm going to do first. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe that video series was going to take 18 months to 2 years. And we did it in 9 months. And I had never planned to do an Action Force 1982 video. And then all of a sudden,
boom,
I've done that as well in a year. So, I mean, you're sitting there as a guy who's been collecting 3 years as proof of what someone who's really passionate can acquire in a few years. Yep. I've had the glorious benefit of some very, very generous supporters of the channel who've helped this along. And George has told me a number of times, all he ever really wanted was to have Action Force videos on YouTube that he could watch. And he was like, you're the guy who, I'd like to see making them. Problem is, George, you've driven up the price now, so you better start getting something else.
George is laughing at all of the rest of us because he's sitting on Mount Action Force.
yeah. So you, I think originally, so he sent the cardboard Action Force headquarters to Retro Blasting, and he mentioned he was going to send me one, but I'd actually gone out and purchased my own, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Oh, well, did you have a spare headquarters?" He's like, "Spare? I've got like 5."
Got a baker's dozen.
yeah. And George is here. It's very late, George. I hope we're not keeping you up. You're going to sleep in for work tomorrow if you're working. But so that's why I got my stuff early. That was very smart.
You're so much smarter.
Yeah, I in that. Did you see that video I did about the 1980s Chad Valley Star Wars catalog?
Yeah.
There was a couple of clips in there from an interview I did with a guy called Jeff Maisie, who was, as I was editing the video together, I wanted to put his job title there. Now, I interviewed him for the Action Man documentary, right. And in the 70s, he was Action Man brand manager. And I wanted to say that he was the European brand manager for Star Wars, but I wasn't 100% sure he was the manager. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly certain. I was like, I don't want to get this wrong. And I'd kind of already got the video ready, and I didn't want to wait another couple of days to do emails back. So I just put Palitoy, Jeff Maisie in there. But I had a couple of random clips left over from that interview where he's talking about Star Wars, as most of the interviews about Action Man, but he mentions about he said we were talking 60 million figures a year across Europe. 60 million figures a year. That's Europe.
Yeah, just Europe.
America could quite possibly be the same. That's 120 million figures a year. Why are they so damn expensive now?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I know the accessories are small and hard to find, but it has gotten utterly ridiculous. Like I'm looking around now. As I said, I don't know if I actually said this on the stream. I might have talked to you about this before we started the live show, but I've got like 9 figures left to complete my first 79 run of Star Wars, and some of them aren't rare figures. And Michael French has very kindly he sent me some in a gift box, so he's kind of knocked off. And the reason a lot of people who send the boxes want it to be a surprise, but he wanted to tell me because he knew I was kind of on the hunt to complete the collection. He's like, "Hey, don't go and buy this one. I'm sending it to you." But some of the figures I'm missing are a not super rare. Prune Face is one of them. And obviously, Prune Face had a cloth goods cape and a rifle. And I'm looking around on eBay, can't find a complete one in Australia. To get one from America, $60 plus $30 shipping.
That's nuts.
That's not well. Actually, the only ones I could find had the original card back, which I'm not interested in. I just want the figure. It was either a loose figure with no accessories or a complete one with the card back. And when I say 60, that's in Australian dollars after the conversion. So 40, 45 bucks. But really, for Prune Face?
Yeah.
You know, it's not one of the first 12.
No, he falls into that meh category.
Yeah. Yeah, and how have I ended up? Another figure I need is 8D8, and the weird thing with 8D8, I've got a beautiful mint carded 8D8, but I'm not going to rip him off the card, and I want a loose one.
Yep.
But again, I'm not going to. I found one in Australia for $30, and obviously that figure doesn't even have accessories. It was $30, and then I looked at it, and someone has drawn on the feet in black pen, all across the. $30 for a figure that's nowhere near mint. It's got all these black marks on the feet. It's ridiculous.
I was down at the toy mall about 3 weeks ago, and I basically got to the point where it's like, okay, it's a lot of the last 17. That's what I need, and I'm like, ooh, Imperial Dignit. I am not paying $160 for Imperial Dignitary. I mean, his hands are just, he doesn't do anything.
I'm never going to add Imperial Dignitary to the collection. Never.
It will probably be the last. Like if I just, I don't know, maybe in a yard sale or something, you run into him and you're like, hey, look, Imperial Dig. But yeah that's going to be the only way.
Were you aware of the last 17 when you were a kid? Did you have any of them when you were a kid, or
no? I didn't have any as a kid.
Were you aware of them though?
Vaguely. I mean, I guess at that point I was heavily G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I certainly, from my I wasn't into Star Wars at that point. I was into Action Force, Masters of the Universe. I remember one whole year where I had a lot of A-Team stuff.
Nice.
But I do remember 2 figures, I think, from the last 17, at least 2, and they were Anakin Skywalker, so in the robes, and a kid down the street from me had Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper disguise, and I thought that was just super cool. Absolutely, it didn't bother me at the time that his head was ugly. I was just like, ooh, the one with a. I was fascinated by it, even though I already had like Lando skiff guard, and the removable helmet is what fascinated me. But Jason Keane has sent another super chat. Thank you very much, Jason. And the question here, Tony, would you ever consider reproducing Action Force figures using customized Marauder Task Force figures and accessories? And if so, any characters especially? Well, someone has sent me some Marauder figures, some Red Shadows. Who was that? That was you, Pete. They're really, really cool figures. I would consider. I would like to make up a Flint figure potentially.
Oh, that would be cool.
Although I think the shirt with the shotgun shells might be quite difficult. But the one modern toy line that I am going to start collecting beyond the Black Series.
Go ahead, say it.
Is Valaverse Action Force.
I
haven't placed a pre-order yet. The main reason I haven't placed a pre-order is I've spent like $600 in the last week on real Ghostbusters stuff.
Uh-oh.
So Matt Swafford from Reclaimers Vintage Toys managed to secure me a nice Ecto 1, which he got put into the post yesterday.
Nice.
I have purchased the Firehouse from the Netherlands, of all places. Not from Boonsart, but on eBay from the Netherlands. And there was a couple of other things I picked up. There's only so much money I can spend each week or I get paid every 2 weeks. So, Gracie gets upset when the family doesn't get fed, and yet I've got real Ghostbusters turning up.
I feel you. I'm once a month getting paid, and yeah, I need to place my Valverse order, but I've been waiting. And
yeah. No, well, I'm going to be placing a Valaverse, and spoiler alert, maybe, and I know Bobby Valor's not in the chat, but Laser Pants was earlier on. I'm going to be making a video for Bobby once I place my pre-order next week, because I want to help promote that line. In fact, a bit of, I don't know if Bobby's talked about this or not, but basically, me, him, and Michael had a private chat on StreamYard. Following which, I just grabbed this super chat before it skips past. Brian Dillingham, thank you very much for the super chat. Almost every live stream, he gives me $2 towards the Black Series habit. So just so you're aware, Brian, the most recent thing I bought was what was it I got? I got the Stormtrooper from the Mandalorian. It's in the Mandalorian packaging.
Oh, the Remnant.
Yes, yeah. But it's not all dirty. I think it's from the episode where the child gets taken from the top of that hill and Boba Fett joined them. Where they're all. It's nice, clean. It is one of the best Black Series figures that I've got to date. The articulation is incredible. But sorry, going back to Valor. So I had a private chat with Michael and Bobby Valor. Then I interviewed him on the show. And I completely forgot what I was going to say. No, I remember that. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. I had been talking to Bobby on Messenger, but at the same time also talking to Bob Breakin, one of Palitalk's original designers. And Bobby asked if he could draft a letter for Bob. So I sent the letter across. I'm getting messages from Bobby. I don't think he's in the chat. I think that's a message that I'm completely he asked if he could draft a letter to Bob Breakin and send the letter across. The new designer, and I'm not unprepared to share Bob's contact details. I just have to ask Bob first. But Bobby, being the stand-up guy he is, he never asked for Bob's contact details. He just said, "Hey, can you forward on this letter?" So Bob started looking at what he was making, and they ended up putting the two of them in touch, and they speak together now. And then I began talking to Greg Hughes. Actually, I think Greg Hughes had left a comment on the YouTube interview. So I was emailing Greg Hughes, and now they're speaking. And you should have seen the high praise that Greg gave this new Valaverse line from what he loves the realistic nature of the weapons.
Right.
He loves the type of material that they've used, the fact that they've got paint applications, all of this stuff. So when you've got two of the original Action Force design, Greg Hughes I don't believe he designed too much Action Force stuff. He was more Action Man. But he did do a lot of artwork. I think he designed the Red Shadows, the Skull and Crossbones logo.
Wicked.
But when you have these guys speaking so highly of the brand,
giving you kudos. I mean, that's got to be a shot in the arm. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, just, the interview that you did, retro. I mean, just hearing the passion that Bobby has for this endeavor. It's sure you want to make some money doing this, right? Of course. But the passion behind it, that got me excited hearing about it. And, it's not going to be this exclusive thing that you can't find. It's not going to be $80 a figure. Oh, by the way, we have comics to go with it. I'm like, yes, this is how it should be.
Yep.
It's like they get it.
I think obviously Bobby worked at Hasbro for a number of years, and he knows the mistakes that they were making, and he's not going to make those same mistakes. Right. The new Valaverse Action Force toy line. It's going to be the second modern toy line that I collect. So I'm really looking forward to it. Are you collecting any of the G.I. Joe classified stuff?
Yeah, I did. And was I real happy about the space armor and all that? No. In fact, I took my Duke and customized him more into Duke.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of funny to see Hasbro going back now and redoing those paint apps, less, sci-fi video.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be just doing the paint apps. They needed to.
Yeah, it needs to
redesign
just
the figures.
Oh,
yeah. That first wave was just an absolute clunker. I have heard, and from what I've seen, is that the new Zartan figure is one of the best that they've done, and it looks really, really good. Problem is, you've got him.
I have it on order. Yes.
Most people can't get it.
Right. Yeah. It was another flash in the pan. Literally like two computers up at the same time because, he was available on and the other one's available on. And you're like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you collect any other modern toy lines or?
I have a few Black Series.
Yep.
But no, it's mostly vintage.
Yeah, I mean, collecting vintage isn't cheap. I mean, collecting modern these days isn't cheap either.
I should say I've gone hog wild into Origins. That's not true. So yeah, I did Origins, Motu Origins. Okay, yeah. Love it.
That's a good. What happened? So I remember speaking to you. So a lot of the mail for the channel goes to the PO box. But I think the first time you sent stuff to me, I didn't have a PO box then, and sent it to the house.
Yep.
So I did a live stream on a Saturday morning, and I'd been to the PO box the day before to check the PO box. And that morning, I had a number of parcels to open. After the live stream, I go downstairs and sitting on my doorstep, and I mean it's under the porch, but it's a box from Scuba Pete, and I was like, we don't get mail delivered on a Saturday in Australia. This has been sitting here since yesterday. Damn it! I could have opened this on the stream. And all credit to you. You're like, oh, don't wait for the stream. Just
I'm like, open that baby.
The funny thing is, Pete, is I don't know if you remember that live stream. One of the boxes I opened had a whole heap of candles and soaps done like Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And it smells like bubble gum. The whole studio still smells like that now. I mean, I've put them into the cupboard, but the smell was still coming out. But because the room had filled up with that smell before I put them away, I then later that day sat down and recorded the video where I opened the Origin stuff from yourself. And the only figure I've taken off the card so far is Man at Arms. I've left He-Man and Battle Cat on the card. We're in the box at the moment. But now in my brain, Man at Arms and the Motu Origins line smells like bubblegum scented candles. Because it was just at the same time, and now the whole studio smells like that. And I'm just convinced that it's Man at Arms that smells like this beautiful aroma of scented candle.
Hey, Duncan, you smell like bubblegum.
Yeah, that is a really cool line, and a lot of people had high hopes. And am I right in saying that? Because it was exclusive to what toy store?
It was exclusive to Walmart through December 31st of 2020.
Yeah, and now that it's gone wide everywhere, they're having distribution issues and they're getting harder to find. Is what I've heard.
Yeah, they've kind of gotten scarce again. But instead of running to my Walmart time and time again and being disappointed, like literally, that's what we had was Man at Arms, He-Man. And then Battle Cat started to show up. I just went on Big Bad Toy Store, January 1, and all of a sudden the whole world was there to ding, 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 ding. Go ahead and order. So Wave 3 just arrived. Like it's in my, I love that feature where they have it where you can put it into your, I don't know what the hell they call it. Pile of loot. There we go. That's what they call it. The pile of loot. Yeah. And you can squirrel it away for so many days and then just flat $4 shipping. So this past week, I just got the Wave 3 notification is in. And then the other day I added to it the Wind Raider. I mean,
Is the Wind Raider in Wave 3?
It's I think it's actually beyond that, but that was the new vehicle that had dropped, and I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I've got my Gray Skull on order with Walmart, and I've got my buddy Matt one ordered as well. If only, I mean, for $75, I'm like, for the box art, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, they are. They are certainly reasonably priced. Have you got Trapjaw yet?
I don't. That was one I could not find before the end of the year, so I ended up also getting that from Big Bad. And Scareglow was an Amazon exclusive here in the States.
Yeah.
And mine got canceled. I had a couple on order, not only for myself, but for some friends. They were like, hey, if you find them. And I was like, I got you. They killed them all. So,
yeah. Yeah, so we got Chris Meara in the chat here saying Origins is a great way to get a Scareglow without breaking the bank. So,
right,
so comparing it to the original vintage, but you can't get him. and I've seen them going on eBay for 4 times the price as well.
Yeah, soon. Yep.
Yeah,
and
Trapjaw, he's my favorite Masters of the Universe figure. So.
It's cool.
I'd definitely like to get. Yeah, that was really my era of Masters of the Universe. I must have, and I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure Masters of the Universe. It came out in '82 in the States, the toy line, I think, and then the cartoon in '83. I don't think it came out in the UK in '82. Hardly anything did back then. Like say, Action Force International Heroes in '87. We were getting GI Joes from 1985.
Right.
Took a couple of years later. So just thinking about how old I was at the time, because I had most of the first 2 waves. So what would have been 82, 83 in the States. I reckon in England we were getting in 83, 84, or maybe even 84, 85 was when I was in the Masters of the Universe. But, Triclops, Trapjaw, all of those stuff. Never had Point Dread, never had Snake Mountain, but I had Castle Grayskull, Battle Cat, Panther, ton of figures. Loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Good times.
It's just fun. I like their crossover WWE Origins crossover that they're doing too.
Yep.
Where they take, Mr. T and give him a Motu effect. I like those as well. So I'm very picky on my wrestling figures. But yeah, I've got a few of them.
Do you collect wrestling figures as well?
No, I mean, other than I don't have any of the LJN stuff. I see those a lot down at the antique mall on a regular basis. But yeah, seeing those on a peg, the WWE Motu, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, I'll take a snake as a snake man. Yeah.
Chris Meaver's got he said, I hope they do a slime pit with the green slime. That would be good.
That would be excellent.
Yeah. That would be. Have you got a slime pit in your collection?
I do have a slime pit. Yep.
A vintage one, obviously.
Yeah, vintage one.
Yeah.
And I have come across a loose can of slime, but I wasn't going to pay what they wanted. I'm like, no way.
Retro Blasting says the backgrounds for these guys makes this look like professional museum curators having a top shelf seminar of awesomeness.
Thank you.
I'm just going to show my full background for a moment. I was talking to Scuba Pete before we started. I was trying to figure out where in the studio to set up, and of course I had to go here where I've got kind of the Action Man scuba divers. So,
heck yeah,
it made sense to set up shop here. I've got some other divers and particularly deep sea divers in the collection, but that's the classic Action Man scuba diver. He's not military, he's just a scuba guy. So, yeah,
good stuff.
We've got here the Sorceress and Scareglow are probably the most expensive in the vintage line after Eternia. Do you have either of those in your collection?
I don't. Nope.
Do you have King Randor?
I don't have King Randor either. But all I can hear is retro blasting in my head.
King Randor is one figure I really want to add to the collection because I had him as a kid. I remember having King Randor, which is weird when you think most of what I had when I was a kid was from the first 2 years, and he didn't come out until like
he was much later.
Year, I think. But I did have him as a kid. And I'm going to have to get myself a King Randor for sure. Ninja was a figure that I was never even aware of when I was a kid, and then Jody sent me a Ninja that had the cloth accessories and the sword. It had the sword or the bow, one or the other. No, it had the sword. I managed to get a bow and arrow vintage, and then the nunchucks. Went for the repro, and now I've completed him. I was like, damn, Ninja's a really cool figure.
He is cool. I still need to get the nunchucks for mine.
Retro blasting.
What?
What? You don't have King Randor? I don't know how to put this, but he's
very important.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I have many leather-bound books in my library.
that particularly the first Anchorman movie is so quotable. It is so useful for taking tiny little clips and putting them into videos.
Oh yeah,
there is a very brief Anchorman clip in my Action Force 1987 video. I couldn't help myself dropping one in there.
Scotch down my gullet. I love Scotch.
We've got Melinda Mock is in the chat as well.
Hey!
Oh my God, it's Scuba Pete. Yeah, I'm late, lol. Happy birthday for the other day, Melinda. Was it Sunday? I think was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy belated.
Yeah.
I had to work a swim meet on Saturday, so I was all goofed up in my live streams and what was going on. I was out of the toy universe for about 5 hours. So
that's a long time these days. Last week was a very busy week for we're kind of carrying it on now for live streams and YouTube content. For me doing a midweek stream like this is not all that common. So did the live stream on Saturday with Tim. We're doing Palitalk today with Scuba Pete, and I'm almost certain that the Patreons will get the Action Force International Heroes video by the end of today for me. So that's probably be tomorrow morning for you, Pete.
Nice. So like 1 a.m.
Right on YouTube at the weekend. So yeah, lots of content. Oh, well, we've been going for an hour and 18 minutes now. And this is usually the point in the video where I like to play a little game. You know the game, don't you, Pete? You know the rules.
Oh, God.
So every time I do this, I lose track of how many, because we do 5. So I'm going to give you the names of 5 retro toys, and you need to sum up that toy in one word. But every time I play this game, I get like 3 or 4, and then we go, how many have we done? So I've got my trusty poppy art pen that was donated to the channel, and I'm going to be writing down. This is a cool pen. It's like a bolt action pen.
Fancy.
Is this a beautiful pen? Proceeds of which go to support homeless Australian veterans. So very pleased. All right, I didn't write a list down here. I'm just gonna do this off the cuff because it's normally the best way. So, can you sum up in one King Randor?
Pompous. Hey, everybody, come see how good I look.
Pompous. I like it.
You have chosen wisely.
I'm so glad I came up with that idea to use those two clips the other day.
That was excellent.
The King Randor was you came up with that pretty quickly. I would have just said important.
Important.
He's very important.
He's very, very important.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out an action figure now from the G.I. Joe toy line.
Okay.
Would you say that's your favorite? Have you got a favorite between Star Wars and G.I. Joe?
Ooh, that's tough.
Is it like choosing between parents?
Yeah.
Or a parent choosing between children?
Yeah. That would be tough.
Yeah, for me, I think G.I. Joe does tip the scales above, which is strange because I have a bigger Star Wars collection than I do G.I. Joe. But I suppose when you take G.I. Joe and Action Force, which to me are kind of the same thing, then the collection is bigger than Star Wars. But they're both up there for me. All right, so a character from the action figure in particular from G.I. Joe, I want you to sum up in one word: Dr. Mindbender.
Oh my gosh. One word for Mindbender. All I can think of is Hair Club for Men. I mean, with the stash and the bald.
I'll tell you the word that pops in my head, and bondage.
Yeah, cod. Nobody sported a cod piece like that, dude.
No,
Oh.
Not since the Middle Ages.
And I screenshot it. Did I share that with you? Where I was watching the original cartoons, and I'm like, did I just see Mindbender without pants? And it was just him in the cod piece, and they hadn't colored the legs, and I was like, what? And it was awful, but I had to rewind it and actually screenshot it to prove it. But yeah, it was like, talk about focusing on the piece.
Yeah. Oh dear. I think that Action Force comic you held up earlier, I'm not sure if it's in that issue or if it's in issue 3. But part of the same story. Once the Cobra Eel gets out from the underground, he then he beats up like a London street punk.
Mm-hmm.
and steals his clothes to escape. There's a shot of a comic panel drawing of the London punk like laying on the ground, and they've got like a thing draped over him, but it actually looks like his wiener's hanging out.
Let's just check, shall we?
It's either in issue 2 or issue 3, but it's after they get out from the underground.
I believe I've found it. No, that's not.
I think got the centerfold there.
I'm sorry, Melinda, if you're still watching.
I'm going to have to take a shot of that comic panel later, and I'll post it on Patreon so people know what I'm talking about. But I want to explain the reason that I asked you to do sum it up in one with Dr. Mindbender is when I was on the Retro Blasting live show the other day. I don't know if it was on the live stream or on the after show, but Michael and I were talking about an action figure that kind of looks like me, and he was saying, it's Big Ben. And I never mentioned it at the time, but someone in the live chat, when there was, I'll tell you what it was. People have used the Malcolm Reynolds reaction figure to make custom figures of Michael. The head looks the same. Yep. And I joked that if people used an action figure to make a custom of me, it would be the German mechanic from the Indiana Jones line. It's the bald head and everything. And I have a bit of a big gut that I strategically hide in most videos. But someone in the live chat went, No, well, if it's a shame that Dr. Mindbender's got an eye patch because you could use that to customize Tony. And I was like, dude, don't ever make a custom action figure of me out of Dr. Mindbender.
Never grow a mustache. That's the lesson.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Oh no.
This is a bit of a trick question here. Can you sum up in one repro? I'll let you sum this one up in three because it's a trick question.
Affordable alternative.
Very nice. I would say good for the hobby.
Yeah. As I look over at my Smith Lord Blue Snag.
Yep. Yeah, and you're quite a big fan of the Black Major stuff as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Where did I put him? There he is. I mean, Python Patrol, Cobra Eel. Come on. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you like Torpedo, the Cobra Eel's got to be your favorite Cobra figure, is it?
Cobra Eel and Snow Serpent. I love a good Snow Serpent.
I loved the Snow Serpent when I was. It's one of the few figures in the collection that I've got more than one of. Then I've got two of him. I've got a couple of Vipers. Retro Blast Insane, that looks sharp. Yeah, that I love the hold that up again. I love the color scheme on that.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, because you sent me a Red Shadow Cobra Eel. I love that. Absolutely love that. The Cobra Eel was one of my favorite figures when I was a kid.
Here's
one of the things I really like about the snows. Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And because he's within arm's reach.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah, and again, they're very affordable, and it just adds to the Legion.
Yeah. Do you do any customizing of your own?
I've done more repairs than like big customizing. You know.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big. I went through a period where I was customizing Action Man stuff a little bit, and I still have a few SAS customs that I produced over the years. But
yeah, there's my.
You do some customizing.
Some customizing. That's the Cobra sub out of a Sentinel 1.
Look at that.
So yeah, that's probably the.
And tell people where what that toy was based on.
That's a Sentinel 1 Toys R Us exclusive submarine.
Was that part of the core, like Leonard's the core, or?
That I don't know. Retro might know.
Don't know. Is it that it's the same toy line that did the big C-130 Hercules?
Yes. Yeah. You got the big
I don't remember the name, but
you know what's funny is here, I'll take off the top. So the Cobra head, that's a Pimp Daddy cane from like a Halloween store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's awesome. Under there is bright gold, you know, like
Retro Blast is that Elite Force?
I'm not
sure. It's that same toy line that made the big C-130 Hercules. Yeah. So Scuba picked up the submarine. What color was it originally?
Jet black with I'm trying to remember what the other parts. Blue. Everything that was red, like the missiles and everything, that I think that was blue. So took it all apart and spent many days carefully repainting and priming and Oh yeah,
Nice.
Pimp Daddy Kane. You know, which I was watching Sal on 2 Cents Toys do a wash or a dry brush, and I was like, I'm gonna do that on the Cobra head just to kind of give it a little something, bring out the scale detail.
Yep. We've got Melinda Markey says, dude, I thought you said Big Daddy Kane. I was so confused.
Nice.
Here we go. True Heroes line by Chap May.
Thank you, Goji. Carl.
That's it. That's the one. And we got here, Mark's asking, have you built Dagobah yet, Pete? Is there a story behind this question?
Well, ever since you did your little diorama photo, setup, I've got a Saga X-Wing, with the Dagobah moss.
Yes.
Picked up for pretty inexpensive down at the toy mall. And ever since I got that and saw that, I'm like, I really want to do a diorama. And now I'm even closer. I picked up a Airfix Dagobah model set. So it's got Yoda's house in it, which is about the right scale. And I want to paint that up. And then at the pet store nearby, they had some really cool driftwood, funky pieces. And I'm like, those are trees in Dagobah. I need to have these.
Yeah.
So,
I thought you might have some sort of connections with, an aquarium shop or a pet shop.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Just randomly.
I don't know. Just a thing. Well, and Yoda is Leslie's favorite Star Wars character. So it's one of those things because she has a blossoming Yoda collection in her craft room. So
so who's your favorite character
out of the Star Wars? I gotta go with I really love Hoth Han. I always have.
Is it the action figure or the actual character in the
action figure would be Hoth Han. Yep.
Yeah. Favorite character from the movies?
Favorite character from the movies? I know everybody says Dago or Bespin Luke. I got to go with Porkins. No, I'm kidding.
Kylo Ren.
Oh. Yikes. Yeah. That's a topic for another live stream. I gotta say Boba. Boba, I have always loved him. And then the fact that he was such a badass, in Empire, was great. I was one of the mail away kids, that checked the mailbox every day.
Yep.
Didn't matter. You sent the certificate off yesterday. You were like, is it here? Is it here? Got off the school bus and ran right to the mailbox every day till he showed up. And I still have him. Yep. That's one of my fave things.
Red Treble last year said someone asked him recently why the Kenny Yoda came with a snake. And he's like, because there's a snake in his hut.
Yeah. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Luke's just like, yeah, okay.
I sometimes, sit there at night and I'll be trying to get to sleep. And my brain is normally thinking of two things. It's what I need to do to get a video finished, or it's what do I need to acquire to make the next video. Which actually, it turns out that there are other people who go to bed at night and they sit there and they go, why did the Kenny Yoda come with a snake? Who thinks under something like that? Oh, I don't know. All right, we've got through 3 so far. We've done King Randor, Mindbender, and then the trick question. Sum up repro. So, can you sum up for me in one word the Max Rebo band?
Useless. Yeah. Why?
Are you referring to the toys?
Yeah, just why?
Yeah. A lot of people don't really consider them part of the action figure collection. Like it's, I mean, they are action figures, but because they're not sold individually,
they're like a sidecar.
Yeah, like blue Snaggletooth is much more acceptable, I think, than the Max Rebo band.
Totally.
But because he was not available on a single card back, but there are some people who believe that the Trash Monster from the Death Star playset should be, your action figure collection is not, because some people just collect figures and they don't want to collect the vehicles and everything else. I say, no, you have to have the trackers. No, it's part of a playset. It's not an individual action figure.
He is cool. I like the Dinoga.
Yeah. I've got Brian Dillingham here. Now it's for the new Valaverse habit with Super Chat. Thank you very much. Vintage Custom Repro says they gave Yoda a snake because he was such a small figure, like they did with the shower and the soft cape. He just wanted to make it seem like a bit more value for money. Yeah, he did have quite a few accessories, and I do believe that was possibly part of their thought process was,
needed a little more going on.
Price for a much smaller figure. Let's give him a few more accessories. But I wish all the figures had come with a few more accessories. All right, so that's 4 down, 1 to go, and I need to think about it for a moment. So while I'm thinking, I've got another super chat here from Jason Keane, who says, do either of you collect Eagle Force, the 2 3/4-inch die-cast action military figures? I certainly don't. What about yourself, Pete?
I don't. I mean, I'm aware of them, and they are really cool. But yeah, that's not something I've jumped into.
Did you have them when you were a kid?
Not the die-cast. I was the plastic. We had this monster sandbox out back of our garage that my dad built for us, and it took a 4x8 sheet of plywood to cover it, so it was just huge. And that was our, Green Army Men. Play base, and it was also, it doubled as Tatooine. When we got into Star Wars, but in the summer we'd sneak firecrackers back there, and set up the Army Man, and then like, oh, he stepped on a mine, boom. And of course Mom come out, what's going on out here? Nothing. You have to wait a couple days before you light another one.
I pretty much collect toys that I either had when I was a kid or wanted, I was aware of. And I've mentioned many times before, one of the reasons I collect a lot of 70s stuff like $6 Million Man is because I've got a brother who was born in 71 and I inherited all of his toys. So here I was as a young kid in the early 80s and, playing with my Steve Austin doll.
That's so cool.
No, none of the other kids my age in the street had a Steve Austin, and he was still on TV at the time, so we all knew who he was. There are some toy lines that I just kind of collect because I wanted to make videos about. The Real Ghostbusters. Well, I was aware of the Real Ghostbusters when I was a kid. Mask is a toy line that I'd really like to get into. But
me too. I have a couple broken vehicles that came in kind of a job lot, but I don't have any Mask, and that's Chris Miwa's has a vastly superior collection of Mask. And,
Michael Schaefer's got a nice Mask collection as well. I think he shared a picture on Patreon the other day. Yeah. When I was a kid, the only Mask toy I got was Condor, the little blue motorbike that turned into a helicopter.
Yep.
It was probably just one of those times in my life when there was so many other toy lines around that I wanted to collect. You have to pick your battles, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, when you're if you're lucky enough to hear those magic words of go pick out a figure, and you're like, yes.
Well, certainly for me throughout the year, I didn't get a lot of pocket money, but I would pretend like Easter would roll around. I'd probably get an Easter egg and a figure. Occasionally, I might be lucky. My parents might buy me one-off figure, and then for birthdays, I would get a couple of the smaller vehicles. from the parents and grandparents, and then uncles and aunties would buy me a figure or two. And then Christmas was always a big present from the parents, you know, and I wanted that tactical battle platform, but I got the hydrofoil. Then, you know, a couple of smaller vehicles from the grandparents, and then action figures from the uncles and aunties and things like that. So I'm going to talk about it in this video, but I'm going to spoiler alert for my future video. I've kind of told you like everything that's going on in it. Yeah, but I can remember spending most of 1987 writing lists of, you know, this is what I want. This is the order I want to get them in. Don't get me this one.
Yeah, it's on the disavowed list. Like, no.
Yeah. We're gonna super chat from Retro Blasting. Thank you very much. Super chat honoring the year of the ninjas: Storm Shadow, Remco Secret of the Ninja, and Ninja 3: The Domination.
Nice. Let's see. He's back here. There's my. Well, I'll take off. Come here. There's our childhood Snake Eyes.
Very nice.
D1. Yep. But yeah. Storm Shadow, he's over there. I like the Storm Shadow version 2 with that camo pattern.
I love Storm Shadow. I prefer Storm Shadow version 2 over the original. Everyone has a lot of adoration for Storm Shadow version 1. I think a lot of that, this is my feelings anyway. He was such a cool character in the comics.
Right.
That's why people loved him and people wanted the figure. He's actually got one of the ugliest head sculpts in the G.I. Joe line. If they had, gnarly. Yeah, and I mentioned that in my top 10 Cobra video, which I made a long time ago, a couple of years back, and probably about 6 months ago. So you know, because you still get every now and again a random comment on YouTube from a video you made a long time ago, and this guy was saying that. I can't remember where Storm Shadow came in the list. Actually, yeah, he was like third or something like that. And I said, you know, the reason he didn't rank higher is because of his ugly head sculpt. And then my number one figure was Firefly. This guy has commented there going, how can you not put Storm Shadow at number one because of his ugly head sculpt? And then you put Firefly and they've got the exact same head sculpt. I'm like, no, they don't. No, they don't. Okay, so they're both wearing a mask, but it is not anywhere near the same. Not quite. Firefly is a beautiful figure.
Now all I can hear is Storm Shadow from the cartoons. I have a very ugly head.
See, I think I was lucky growing up that I never saw the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Really? We could not get home from school fast enough to leap off the bus, grab a snack, and I mean, by then, like little bro's downstairs, he's already got the TV on. I'm upstairs, you know, grabbing whatever I can lay my hands on quick, and I can hear the G.I. Joe music playing, and I am literally leaping down the steps, you know, to get there in time because I don't want to miss a second.
Yeah. When I say I feel lucky that, you know, because we didn't have it on TV in England, when they turned some of the cartoons into Action Force, I'm sure that was not coming out until like late 87, early 88, mm-hmm. But it wasn't on TV. It was VHSs became available that you could rent from the video store.
Yep.
So when I say I'm lucky, it's that, you know, for me, it was Action Force International Heroes is when we started getting the weekly comic, and it was rebranded G.I. Joe. I think that was a great way to actually grow up, particularly through 87, was just with the comic storyline. Because it's so different from the cartoon. And to be honest, I think at that age as well, you know, like I was 10 going on 11, I don't know as the cartoon would have resonated with me in the same way. Maybe it would have done. I don't know. I do remember seeing G.I. Joe the movie, which was rebranded as Action Force the movie, and they have to overdub every time they talk about Sergeant Slaughter because they changed the name to Slammer, and Yo Joe becomes Full Force. So you get this very awkward overdub with an English accent going full force, and then it goes back to an American voice actor. Yeah. Do you remember video stores?
Oh yeah, that was a big deal. I don't know why, but around us, it was always like the world's creepiest house became your local video store. Like people were
That's
probably
how they were in England. Yeah, that's how they were in England.
There were probably people trapped in the basement, held against their will. That like maybe didn't pay rental on time, but yeah, creaky floors. And I remember asking my dad why there was the section in back that had a shower curtain around it, and he was like, "Never you mind."
Yeah. Because my son, he's 14, and I swear he's never ever watched a VHS. If I asked him what a VHS was, he what?
Yeah, huh?
He wouldn't have a clue. Not a clue. I'd be surprised if he knows what a DVD is, to be honest. What do you mean? All these movies don't just live inside your phone or your iPad?
That was such a big deal, though, to like order a pizza, go hit the video store, on the way to pick up the pizza. You're like, hey, we got like 10 minutes. Let's pick out a movie that everybody wants to watch. And if normally we'd get two,
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Because when I was growing up in England, it was the exciting part of the weekend. Your parents, they would go and rent a VHS. And I remember being in England, and when a new movie would come out, a popular movie, people would have to pre-book it like 2 months beforehand with the shop. So I want to rent it on this night, and it was like first in, best dressed, because they would only get a couple of copies of it, maybe.
Right.
And also, that you could only rent them for one night, and it was very rare we got more than one movie. And they would come home with a VHS, and we'd watch it that night, and then normally I'd get up early on Saturday morning and watch it again. If it was a good movie, maybe twice, and then they'd take it back to the shop.
Yep.
Well, then I moved to Australia in late 1988. And our local video store, I remember going there for the first time, and my parents and me were like, whoa. And this was a popular thing in Australia. They used to have a deal where for $10, I think it was, on a Friday, you could get one new release video that had to go back the next day, but then you could get 5 older videos that you could keep for a week, and you could bring them. And the reason they would do that is you would have to bring them back the following Friday. So it got people to go in the following Friday and then pay another $10.
Yeah, that's smart.
And they used to get several copies of the new stuff as well. So it was a lot easier to rent. So you'd go in there, we'd get, the latest movie that was coming out. I remember one of the first movies I watched on VHS in Australia was Die Hard. We got Die Hard for the night. And then I was like, Dad, for the same price as what it used to be in England, we would get 5 movies that then, we could come home every day after school and watch a different movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was amazing. It was like one of the best things about coming to Australia. It was like, hey, we can get 6 VHSs a week. So I think back then, certainly in England and even here in Australia, buying X rentals was not a very big thing. You couldn't buy VHSs in a lot of department stores. Shops didn't sell X rentals. It was probably later into the 90s that you started being able to buy the content yourselves, buy VHSs yourself. So, but when you can rent five videos for a whole week for $10, you just get your favorite movies and rewatch them.
Yeah, that was slick.
Yeah. All right, we never finished playing the Sum It Up in One game. But there's only one left, and haven't thought of what I'm going to ask.
We're going to have to talk about something else. Let's do.
All right. Sum up for me in one. This is going to be. I'm going to throw a difficult one out at you. Sum up in one, if you can, the Robo Skull.
All these single word adjectives are coming in. Magnificent, glorious. Every time I look at one, and I was just on the Facebook group and a fellow had. I mean, he did a George Aiken, roll call of them. Just, dun, 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 dun. I mean, the guy must have had like 15 of them.
Yep.
Just amazing.
Yeah, it's
unlike anything else. I mean, to have that skull.
It's like a TIE fighter on steroids.
Yeah. it's like the Empire really wanted to scare the out of you. Like, we're bringing in the Robo Skulls. Like, the TIE fighters are just the old model.
You could use any word: magnificent, legendary. It's just that that toy that's taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, it's just there's nothing else like it.
I was always fascinated by the toy. I thought it was amazing. But yeah, I got to be honest, I was very much for a long time Action Man only collector because the line is so big I couldn't afford to collect anything else. And it was after I've been running the channel for a year or so, and I remember reaching out to Bob Breaking because I remember Bob talking a lot about the Robo Skull back in the days when I was interviewing him for the Action Man documentary. And I knew Bob really was really proud. It was the toy he was most proud of. I was like, maybe I could do a really good video about this, work with Bob on the script and get some behind the scenes stuff. So I start looking around to buy one. I was like, oh, damn, they're not cheap. I'd never been in the market for one before. Whoa. And honestly, it was not until I started researching the script for the video, and then kind of after the video came out, I didn't realize how much of a worldwide following the Robo Skull actually had prior to that. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, you see it and you just are dumbfounded.
Yeah. What is this magnificent creation?
It's so creepily awesome.
Yeah, this will never ever happen. But in my wildest dreams, if I could get Will Ferrell as Anchorman to do a news report on the Robo Skull, that would be amazing. We've got Magnificent Kaboom here. He says, much like Analog Toys, Scuba Pete does great work. Top shelf.
Thank you.
There you go. Well,
all I can think of is, a small Robo Skull has been terrorizing the greater San Diego area.
Robo Skull. In German, it means I'm not going to say that on here.
No, I don't think it does. Well, agree to disagree.
Jason King, thank you for the super chat. He says, was the Robo Skull in the US G.I. Joe universe? It wasn't originally, and I'm not exactly sure when, but there was a comic run someone in the last 10, 15 years, I want to say, where Robo Skull and the Red Shadows were introduced into, I think it was an IDW G.I. Joe comic story. Larry Hama brought it in. So it kind of is in the G.I. Joe universe, but that's happened like in the last 10 years. So yeah, we got, Mark Airy saying that, the Robo Skull was in the comics. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, look, Pete, this has been an absolute blast. This is also one of the longest Palitalks I've ever done. It was almost 2 hours. And the time has flown by.
I know, it does. It's like, what are we going, half an hour, 40 minutes?
I got thrown off my game a little bit there with my internet issue. So thank you for keeping the show going without me. I thought the whole stream had gone down. But you saved the day there, Scuba Pete, once again. The man, the myth, the legend, Scuba Pete saves the day.
Infamous.
Not this time, says Tony should start a second channel about modern toys called Digital Toys. I don't know where I would get the time from to run a second channel. It is so time consuming running this channel. You know, I would like to be creating more content for Analog Toys, but there's only so much time in the day. You know, and you have to keep a wife and family happy from time to time.
Yes,
so,
very important.
Yeah, but that comment about digital toys, I thought that was quite. I was when I was setting up for the live stream with Tim the other day. I was going to set up a close-up camera, just using my phone. You can hook up to StreamYard on my phone to take close-ups, but I didn't have any mail to open. I thought, there was no point. But if I'm going to have my phone camera kind of jump up as a close-up camera on here, so you see how we've got our names underneath, Analog Toys and Scuba Pete. I was going to write for this one, so you know, the close-up camera, and then I was like, nah, I'm going to call this Digital Toys. So they kind of preempted that. So if in a future live stream you see the close-up, that's what the camera's called, Digital Toys. Oh, look, we've got a lot of people in here thanking us for a great chat. We've got our buddy Michael Schaefer says excellent Palitalk and great work with the Save Scuba Pete. And
you know what? It's so awesome to see the names scroll by in the chat. I mean, it's just chock full of great friends that I didn't have a couple of years ago. Very cool.
That's been the most unexpected benefit of running this channel is making friends like yourself and Michael Schaefer and Michael French and George Aitken and Chris Miwa. And I hate it when I start rattling off names, because as soon I get 4 or 5 names in and then I go, damn, Jody will get upset if I don't mention it. Daniel Dorian, thank you for the super chat. He says to go towards Tony's Kenner Real Ghostbusters collection.
Nice,
much appreciated. I just had to pay some shipping to get an Ecto-1 from the States to Australia yesterday, and it was wasn't cheap. Shipping wasn't cheap. But I was very happy with the deal. Matt Swafford, I'd been looking around on eBay and couldn't find one that was quite good enough quality.
Yeah.
And even the ones I could find, I thought were overpriced. So then reached out to Matt Swafford. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, I've got an Ecto-1
nice.
at a very good price. So he actually felt bad about the cost of shipping. I was like, dude, that's not your fault. But it was a far better deal than I was going to get on eBay, and a much better quality toy. So. And George Aiken saying I hid this live stream from Gracie. Gracie doesn't watch my videos anyway, so it totally doesn't matter.
I was going to start out real awkward and be like, oh, it's you. I thought I was going to be talking with Gracie. I mean, you're okay.
You know what? If we can work out the time zones, maybe you can join me and Gracie for the Christmas live stream, and you can have a bourbon.
That would be awesome.
She'll have a wine and we'll have a beer. But I think if we do it that'll mean you'll be getting drunk drinking bourbon first thing in the morning. Can you handle that, Pete?
I think that's pretty much like a regular Christmas.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I don't know if you know Keith Knight. He's on Patreon. Keith's a great guy. And he says, tonight has been fantastic, guys. I was in a crappy mood earlier, not anymore. Thank you both for that. And you're very welcome.
Awesome.
I've really, really enjoyed this. The internet issue did throw me off earlier, but we got through it. And Jason Keane, thank you for another super chat. It was a great chat. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Pete. I'd love to have you on the show again, Pete. This has been an absolute blast.
Anytime, yeah, great time.
And while we are going to kind of sign off everybody else, I'd like you to stay on and we'll have a bit of a chat afterwards, if you've got the time, that is.
Totally.
Cool.
All right.
Well, George Aitken down here saying Tony's got performance issues. Oh, well played, sir. Well played.
All I can think of is Dr. Mindbender. Arise! Arise!
Oh, damn. Oh, I've had a blast, Pete.
Great time.
And I think we'll call it there. So
Sounds good.
thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Repeat, for taking the time. And the next video you will see me in will be the Action Force International Heroes 1987 video. The next video you'll see Pete in, he'll be swimming around in a fish tank.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.